Hey all, welcome to Monday, welcome to Countdown Day here on the channel. And today is going to be a very useful one, I think, not only for Transformers fans and collectors, but for anybody who really kind of collects anything. Because this is going to be the top 10 pieces of collecting advice from collectors for you to process, to think about, and to apply to your own collecting as voted on by fans. Top 10 pieces of most important advice for collectors. That's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you are at it, light up my baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that is in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course, hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And fans voted fast and furious on this one, with a lot of great advice that, while it is definitely skewed towards Transformers collectors, it can apply to, you know, people who collect Marvel Legends, or collect Star Wars, or collect decorative plates, or spoons, or stamps. Any of the things that people tend to collect really could apply here. So there's probably a few as we go through that's skewed toward Transformers, but I think for the most part, it is solid advice from experienced collectors, and probably really, really useful to somebody who is either new to collecting or not exactly sure where they want to go with their collecting journey. So, honorable mentions first. So, this is pieces of advice that had votes, but not enough to rank on the final list. There's only 10 slots, right? First one, watch trusted reviews or read trusted reviews. So, like, I know, for example, that I'm not the biggest man on the block by any stretch of the imagination, and I ruffle a lot of feathers, but those who watch my reviews and look for the information and want a well-rounded review get that. I'm not the only one, but there's a difference between somebody who's an actual reviewer, whether written or video or however, and somebody who just blindly likes everything, and in essence they're doing a commercial. Big difference. As a consumer, watch, read reviews on products. I mean, you'd probably do it for a car. You'd probably do it if you were going to buy a vacuum. You'd probably do it if you were going to buy, I don't know, a new camera or a computer. Why wouldn't you do it with the things that you collect? So yeah, watch, read trusted reviewers. Don't plan on reselling as a financial strategy. Now, there are people that end up creating stores and whatnot, but there are some people who simply buy up product and think that they're going to scalp the fandom, as if the fandom doesn't realize the true value of things. They may sell a few things, but as a group of collectors, keep in mind that if your intention is not so much to collect, but only to buy and then resell, keep in mind that the people that are your target audience, your target market, are people that know the value of this stuff already, good or bad. You might get a couple of people that are prone to being, you know, played a little bit, but in general, you're going to have a hard time trying to fleece experienced fans. Research. Know what it is you're looking for, who it is you're looking for, and what version you're looking for. Too often we get fillers, or we buy something that we don't really want, or it's a version, but it's not the version that we want. Look for the version of a character, of a plate, of a stamp, of a whatever that speaks most to you. So yeah, do your research. Know what a going price is for something so that you don't overpay. Know what versions there are in the market. Know which ones are hard to get, which ones are easy to get, which ones are more likely to be popular upon release, which ones you're probably going to be able to hold off on. Takes a bit of legwork. Yeah, so that's the honorable mentions, right? Research which version of a character you want. Don't plan necessarily on reselling, because that could be a strategy that could work or could blow up in your face. And, of course, watch, read trusted reviewers. You know, you get reviews on stuff all the time. Make sure that what you're watching and reading is informative to help you make informed purchasing choices. Those are the honorable mentions. Had votes, none of them ranked. Who did? What did? Well, you know what we're going to do. We're going to kick things off with number 10 first. And number 10 is probably something that all collectors of anything should really keep in mind, because you can get lost in the community, lost in the fandom, lost in the collecting. However, for number 10, it should bring you joy. And the minute it doesn't bring you joy or causes stress is the minute you should get rid of it. For example, this guy brings me joy. I've waited so long for DevCon, and I like the episode The Gambler, and I like the character of DevCon. And there was a time, man, when I thought, oh, maybe I'll pay a bunch of money. I really want a version of him. Maybe I could do some sort of a custom that might fill the bill. But maybe I should overpay and get that like BotCon one, which sold for a pretty penny because it was really the only version of this guy. I didn't do that. I was tempted to do that, but I didn't do that. Why? Because the rest of my collection brought me joy. Sometimes you get instant gratification from that joy, and sometimes you don't. I waited for this guy, and for a version of this character that I really, really kind of wanted, and I'm very happy with it. The minute this guy doesn't bring me joy, or the minute for some reason he would give me stress, is the minute I get rid of it. For collecting in general, if you collect stamps, you should be happy doing it. If you collect hockey cards, you should be happy doing it. If you collect Transformers, you should be happy doing it. And the minute it's not bringing you joy, the minute it's not making you happy, and the minute it's becoming more work and more stress than it is bringing you a smile to your face, is the minute maybe to back off. Yeah, joy. That takes the number 10 slot. Now number 9 sort of branches off from the earlier doing your research piece, and it's don't overpay. And I'm using Hot Rod here as an example because we all know that as much as people love this guy, I was the first guy to say it's not a Voyager. Even with all of these accessories on the back, even with the Matrix, even with the blast effect, everything, it's only 77 grams. Know what it is. You know, this is part of the research. This is part of the not overpaying. Know what constitutes a certain size class if you're a Transformers collector, right? This was a deluxe. It might have been a well-done deluxe by a lot of people's estimation, but the mass, the quantity of plastic used just isn't there. Before, people would say to me, hey, but the engineering is spectacular. There's no hollowness, blah, 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 blah. Hardcore fans sometimes will lose sight of overpaying and gleefully do it and justify it to themselves. Don't. Know what it is you're buying. Know what it is you're paying for. Yes, we all have to decide whether or not the value proposition works for us. And for a lot of people, the value proposition did work for this guy. They think he's a Voyager. They think he's spectacular. I don't understand it. I overpaid once, and it was for the Classics Ramjet, and I paid $50 for it. US. Regretted it the second I got it, and swore to myself that I'll never be someone who's going to overpay again. And since then, I started doing a lot more research, and I've saved a lot of money because of it. Yeah, don't overpay. Do your due diligence. Not for me, not for anybody else necessarily in the community, but for yourself. Yeah, don't overpay, man. That takes the number 9 slot. Number 8 is a good one, especially as your collection of stamps or, I don't know, mugs grows. Document your collection. Whether you do it on paper, whether you do it on like a spreadsheet, however it is you do it. Maybe you use chalk on a rock. I don't know. But put down everything in your collection. I, for one, like to collect both G.I. Joe 3 and 3/4 scale characters. And I have many of them. Some double, some not. I have many more Transformers, as do a lot of fans. You get to a point with your collection that you probably have hundreds. Some people probably have thousands. You're not going to remember off the top of your head necessarily everything in your collection. And I do know some people who have ended up buying more than one of something. In some cases it's by design. In some cases it's by accident because they forgot they already had something, or they had a number of pre-orders in, for example. If you documented it, you could check, especially if you put it in an order you can follow. Alphabetical, for example. I have all of my stuff documented, not necessarily as well as I would like. I probably should go back and put it in a better order. Plus, if you document it and keep all of your receipts and have the value down, the day will come, if you, for example, want to insure your collection, that you got everything right there, that the insurance company is going to need to do just that. Fun fact, by the way, it's very unlikely that an insurance company that does offer collection protection will fund or cover things like KOs or third party. Usually they will only cover the official mainline, or can't even say mainline, but the official product. Food for thought. Document what you got so you don't buy more, or in case you want to make sure that you can get some sort of insurance or protection. It's great advice, and it takes the number 8 slot. Now number 7, I gotta admit I'm terrible at, but it's kind of by necessity, and this is great advice if you have the space. Plan your shelving and your display. We have seen, for example, some people who do tremendous jobs. They have sets built, and they do dioramas, and they have a whole room or two like dedicated to their collection, where they display their central bots, or their, if you're into Star Wars, maybe your centerpiece is like the barge, for example. Or if you're into comic books, maybe it's a particular issue, you know, a first issue of a particular line or something. For us Transformers collectors, and probably for a lot of toy collectors, it's all about the shelving. Some people like the detail, some people like the billies, some people like to build their own shelving, some people like only floating shelving, some people have space limitations and can't do the display they'd like. That's me. I have a severe space limitation, and in my area here where I keep my collection, there are floating shelves up around the top that are pretty chock-a-block full, and of course there's this display behind my shoulder that goes really from ceiling to floor. That's it. That's my space that I have. Like, if I wanted to have more Titans or something like that now, I simply don't have the room, and I don't imagine a way I could get the room. If you have the space, if you have the ability to, I guess, arrange your characters and collection in dynamic poses, with great lighting, with great backdrops, then do it. Take pride in what you got and plan it out. Yes, I planned my shelving. Unfortunately, I don't have the room to plan my display. In an ideal world, maybe in your world, you should do both. Planning for your shelving and display takes the number 7 slot. Number 6 builds on one of the honorable mentions, being research, and number 9, not overpaying. Because number 6 is being patient, man. Collecting takes time. Nobody overnight has a collection of several hundred or a few thousand things. It just doesn't happen unless you're, you know, a millionaire. I use this guy again as an example. I thought about using the Titans Return version of Scourge and doing some custom work to try and make it this guy. I just didn't know what Titan Master to use, so I never really got around to doing that. I thought about overpaying for the BotCon version that used the Classics Universe Scourge mold, because I really wanted a DevCon, even though the prices I saw for that thing were anywhere from $150 to $200 US. I didn't do it. I was patient. I waited 38, 39 years, and finally we have a version of DevCon that I adore. It paid off to wait. Sometimes you'll get something as a filler because you want that character now. I've done it when I was newer into collecting. Sometimes you get it because it's the only version of a character. In fact, I have that right now with Rack and Ruin from the Cyberverse line, for example. Or was it RID 2015? I can't remember right now. It was Ultra Class. And he's okay, but the arms got their limits, and it's not a ideal G1 version of Rack and Ruin. If we got a proper G1 version of Rack and Ruin, I would probably replace him. If we never do, cool, fine. Only you can decide how quickly and how much finances you have, or how, I should say, how quickly you want to build your collection and what kind of finances you have to make that a reality. I am very fortunate that I have the collection I have. Some of it has been gifted to me by people I care about. Some of it I inherited from other people. Some of it, of course, I bought myself. But it's taken a good 10, 12 years of being back in the fandom to amass that. And if you were to go back and look at my very earliest collection, which there are pictures of floating around on the internet, it was very small. Maybe 7 or 8 Autobots, 7 or 8 Decepticons, and they were a mishmash of sizes, classes, lines, everything else. And everything grew from there. Don't feel like you have to have everything and have to have it right now. Take time, enjoy the ride, be patient, and you'll get the collection eventually that you want, one way or another. Whether it's Transformers or whether it's, I don't know, flowers. Be patient with yourself, enjoy the ride. That takes the number 6 slot. And here we are at the ever popular, ever coveted halfway mark. And at the halfway mark, we have something that it had a lot of votes, and it's probably good advice, but if you've made it this far, then you're probably already a collector, so this might not apply to you. But number 5 is simply, don't start. Big X, right? Don't start. It is a rabbit hole. Whatever it is you collect, know what it is you're getting into, because you're probably going down a rabbit hole. I know a lot of people who collect a lot of lines of a lot of things. They collect masks, they collect Transformers, they collect G.I. Joe, they collect Jason the Wheeled Warriors, I don't know. And they have everything. In fact, for episode True Review 1000, we did a tour of my buddy Cyril's, really Nerdvana. Go back and check it out, because he has collected so many lines of so many things, from G.I. Joe to Brave Star to Ninja Turtles to, yes, of course, Transformers. And he has, or has had, almost everything under the sun, man. And that's wonderful if you can do that. But every time you add some sort of a new line, you are potentially going down a rabbit hole, especially if you're a completist. Because once you start, kind of like with Pokemon, right? You got to catch them all. Yeah, if you never start, you don't miss what you never had. Not starting at all. That is the advice that sits at the number 5 slot. Number 4 is a good one. Buy what speaks to you. Whether you're talking about scale or whether you're talking about continuity. For example, this is my Orion Pax. I did not get the Generations one from many years ago, though I've heard that that mold is splendid, because I looked at it and said, that doesn't look like Orion Pax to me. I, for one, don't know him in the IDW comics, which means that 2-pack of him and Senator Shockwave really doesn't speak to me either, because that's not the Orion Pax I know. This is the Orion Pax I know. And while he is definitely not perfect, I look at this and I think, yeah, that's G1 Orion Pax. That's the guy I saw in the cartoon. And the Alpha Trion that he came with is pretty spot on as well. He spoke to me, despite the imperfections. And to be fair, a little bit later on, this set also spoke to me, even though I detested this mold. I think that, by the way, this is a superior use of the mold over Road Rocket. And the Dion, I've heard a lot of issues with this guy, specifically loose arms. And mine are slightly loose, but not bad. And while this might not be a perfect Dion, and again, it is a version of this mold that a lot of people say, again, not perfect, it still spoke to me. It was the right scale, the right size. It was the characters I wanted. It spoke to me as a G1 fan. And I have said for a long time now, not everything has to be for me, just like not everything has to be for you. Currently, within Transformers, we're getting a lot of releases of Unicron Trilogy characters, such as Armada Megatron, the Commander-class Armada Optimus Prime, and the Titan-class Cybertron Metroplex. And none of that speaks to me. It's not for me. I don't want it. However, I know a lot of fans do. You have to learn what to buy and what to leave on the shelf. What fits your collection and what doesn't. If it doesn't speak to you and you're just buying it for the sake of buying it, maybe you should rethink things a little bit. Ask yourself, does this not only fit in my collection, but do I really, truly want it? And you'll probably save yourself some money while also helping to build a collection that you truly want and that is truly unique to you. Yeah. Honestly, it's great advice, and it takes the number 4 slot. Now we're into the top 3 pieces of advice. Number 3 is a good one that kind of ties in a little bit with what I just said about what speaks to you. And it's focus your collection. Plan what you're getting, when you're getting it, and what you want. For example, I'm obviously a G1 guy. This is Earthrise Optimus Prime. And some people would say, that's not G1 Optimus Prime, that's Earthrise Optimus Prime. Balderdash. I would say that all of it is G1 inspired, so for me, being a G1 guy, this is about as quintessential as it's going to get. Some people have called, as of this recording, for something like a Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime. We don't need it. We have this guy. And it's as simple as painting the rest of the blue if you want. I even took the backpack, this is actually a resin cast of the backpack that came in the Centurion pack, and I painted it to be like Sideswipe, so it works with Optimus or Sideswipe for that matter. Know the lines you want. Maybe you're a Transformers Prime collector. Maybe you are a Unicron Trilogy collector. Maybe you're a coin collector and you have all the pennies that have Queen Elizabeth on them. Are you going to continue that pennies collection with King Charles? Maybe you are a Royals collector. Are you a Royals collector, or do you just collect things related to Princess Diana, for example? Maybe, just maybe, you're a car collector. Do you collect all cars, or are you a muscle car guy? Or maybe you're an Italian sports car guy. Whatever it is, know what you're collecting. Focus your collection so that it displays well, so that it's unified, so that it's cohesive. For me, for example, I am a guy who, A, wants versions of characters that I think are the ideal versions. They may cross lines, but they are ideal versions of said character to me, and fit in my sense of scale, which is based in no small part on the Sunbow chart. So if something isn't on that, then I ask myself, how is it likely that this character would fit in? For example, if this is my G1 Optimus Prime, right? If this is what I'm using as my G1 Optimus Prime, and this is a Voyager scale, which I think is the right scale, then how would, for example, a Bludgeon scale with this, right? How would Bludgeon scale with Optimus Prime? Or how would my Megatron du jour scale with this Optimus Prime? Would it make sense for me to have a 9-inch tall version of Transformers Prime Knockout to go with that? If I want a Decepticon medic? Probably not. Plan, 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 and focus, focus, focus. Not only know what you're getting into, not only buy the things that speak to you, but even when something speaks to you, ask yourself, how does this fit in my collection? Does it stay focused? And in the end, you're going to be way happier. Focus and planning takes the number 3 slot. I love number 2. Set a budget. Look for sales. In Canada, that doesn't happen a whole lot. We don't get a ton of sales. It does happen time to time, but we don't get a ton of them. I know in the US, for example, they get loads of them. And a lot go to several like discount outlets. And people can get great sales if they are, one of the things earlier on the list, patient. You can definitely save yourself some money. It is risky because you might want to wait for a sale on a certain character and the character might get sold out and you missed the boat on it. Or sometimes you can get some real gems if you go thrifting because you'll get some great sales there. Case in point, this is my Bludgeon. Now, we know that the new Legacy Evolution Bludgeon is coming out sooner rather than later based on the Tarn mold. And I had this version because I said, you know what? I get it. The inside of Bludgeon is a tank. The outside is the Pretender shell. In the modern age, as much as people would like to have Pretender shells and an inner robot, it's just not realistic in terms of mass production to do. So the amalgam of the two is kind of the going way that they now do Pretenders, and I think it's the right way to do it. That's probably a debate for another time. I got this guy complete thrifting for $3. Did not think he was complete until I opened up back here. How do I open this now? I can't even remember how I opened this now. Yeah, like that. And realized the sword is in here. This comes out. That's his other sword. All the bits and pieces were on him for $3. Why did I get him? And you see me looking over here. Because I thought, yeah, this scale works really great. Really, really great. He can go for a ton of money. I wouldn't spend a ton of money on this, especially with a new one coming. But you know what? This is excellent, and it's hard to argue with $3. It's the same way I got Beast Wars Rampage. It's the same way I got Beast Wars Depth Charge. It's the same way I got the Classics Universe Blue Streak, for example, and ever so many more. If you're patient, if you're willing to go to the hunt, you might just land on the deal of a lifetime. And if you don't set a budget, you also have the danger of overspending. How often have we seen people who will say, I have $800 worth of things on pre-order, and all the pre-orders come early, and then they say, I can't afford all of my pre-orders, I had to cancel it. Or they'll buy all of this stuff, and you'll see this wonderful collection. And then they'll say, hey guys, gotta sell this stuff fast. Need money for rent, or car repair, or whatever the case might be. Or you hear tell of some people, and they buy everything for their collection. They haven't saved nothing for a down payment on a house or for their retirement or some such thing. Because they want the item more than the responsibility of budgeting. None of us wants to have to budget. But in doing so, you'll be able to afford your life and your collection. Ties in a lot here with being patient and going for that hunt. Yeah, budgeting. Wise words, man, according to fans. And that takes the number 2 slot. And here we are at the very tippy top, number 1, the best piece of advice according to fans all across social media. And I love this one. Guys, listen to me. Hear me loud and clear. You don't need everything. Completionist, whatever term you want to use, there's debate over what they mean. But if you go into something, we touched on this earlier, if you go down a certain rabbit hole, there are people out there that feel like they need everything. For example, I've seen people who will say, not only this isn't G1 Optimus Prime, but it's not even Siege Optimus Prime. Siege was a different thing. That's them in their Cybertronian modes. Now you need this one because you need all of Earthrise because you started it. Then in Kingdom, you needed all of Kingdom. Then in Legacy, you need all of Legacy. We have seen repacks become more and more common. For example, there was a Legacy version of the Transmetal 2 Megatron, and then there was a Legacy Evolution repack of the exact same Megatron. Same thing. And there are people out there who said, had to buy both, needed both boxes, and maybe they're a box collector. I don't know. But some people will simply say, this is the line, this is everything in the line, whether I want it or not, I need it. Let's be realistic. You collect for joy, you collect for fun. None of us need any of our collections. We do it because it brings us joy. Maybe it helps ease our mind. Maybe it makes us happy. And those things are needs to a degree. But ask yourself this. Do you need every single Combiner Wars character? You know, how many versions of Hound, for example, do you need? Do you need every single thing from Beast Wars Neo? Do you need every single thing that came out in Transformers Cybertron? Maybe you do. Maybe you legitimately have such a passion for that era that you need it. But then here's my follow-up question to you. Do you need every single Optimus Prime out there or every single Bumblebee out there? If you are a person who you collect that character, then yeah, probably. If you are somebody who don't particularly collect that character, then maybe you don't. For example, certain molds lend themselves to being different characters, but certain molds are just the same character over and over. How many times did we see the Siege Megatron mold redone? Same dude. Exact same dude. Maybe he came with a different color scheme, or maybe he came with a new mace this time, or some such thing. Ask yourself what you want, ask yourself what you truly need. And realize that, you know what? It's okay to buy the things you want. Doesn't mean you have to complete an entire line, an entire wave, an entire set. Get what speaks to you. Be patient. All of these are great things, but at the end of the day, the thing that is the most important is realize you don't need everything. And that takes the number 1 slot. Man, as collectors have we heard some great advice. You know, you don't need every single plate, you know, that every single state has put out. Maybe you're somebody you want one plate from each state in the United States. Your collection will be done at, 50 states now? Your collection will be done then. But what if Tennessee puts out 6 different plates? Do you need all 6? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe you only collect Tennessee plates. I don't know. Great advice here, though, about saving your money, having a budget, planning ahead for not only your collection but your display. Realizing you don't need to buy everything if it doesn't speak to you. If you're only getting it for the sake of getting it, maybe you don't want it or need it that bad. But there was other advice as well that just didn't make the list. That's also fantastic. Have a supportive partner, your spouse, your significant other, whatever. somebody who supports what you're doing. Because guess what? If you're into collecting, they have to live in that same environment and live that life as well. So they have to have a connection to it as well. I include Starscream Wife in a lot of my collecting choices, and she has her own much smaller collection of items as well. Let's see. Note QC issues. It might be that that's something for you to avoid, or if you're going to buy it anyway, know that it might be something that you need to watch out for, right? And handle a joint, a piece, or something with some kid gloves, because it could break. What else? Avoid old G1s. Some of them weren't made that well. Avoid HasLab altogether. Multi-billion-dollar companies shouldn't need to be crowdfunded. Let's see. Enjoy in-store hunting. We too easily put in pre-orders and just get stuff online. Sometimes there's nothing that replaces seeing that thing on the shelf in the store. Avoid FOMO. Don't be motivated by a fear of missing out. Some people will only get things because they're like, oh, if I don't get it now, I'm going to miss out. But do you actually want it, or are you just getting it because you have a fear of missing out? Focus on quality over quantity. Again, you don't need everything. Get the things that speak to you, right? I like this one. Start with smaller items first. Maybe start with a Legends or Core Class or Deluxe first. Don't invest into buying something that is Voyager or Leader or Commander or Titan until you know if you actually do have an interest. Is this a passing fad for you? Or do you actually have an interest in what it is that you're collecting? You know, I had a time when I was young that I collected hockey cards. Didn't even like hockey, but all my friends were collecting hockey cards. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know the players. I don't really like the game. Still got the cards. Don't know if any of them are valuable. Done the same with baseball. Don't know anything about it. It was a fad for me that I didn't go in on. But I know some people out there have tons. And they know the rarities. They know what's special. And sometimes it's not even that something's special, but it's special to you, right? It's particularly special to you. Case in point, my Metroplex, or my Primus, or my Weijiang Ultima Guard. All three very special to me because I got them from my family. Or something like my Fans Project Dino King. Got that from our buddy Razor Bear. I mean, super generous. Don't get me started on what I've gotten from Ultra Megatronus, for example. Like, some things are just that important to you, right? What else did we have here? In terms of pieces of advice that got votes, beware of impulse buying. But that's just good life advice, right? Let's see. Oh, handle items, if you can, before you buy them. Maybe get a loan of a friend or something. I always, when I hear that advice, I always think of my Studio Series 86 Grimlock. I wasn't going to get it. I was happy with the Black Mamba set. And then I reviewed my buddy Cyril's and said, man, this is good. And even Starscream Wife handled it and said, you got to get this Grimlock. So I went out and I got that Grimlock. And then, admittedly, I was in on all of the Dinobots. But you know what? Just because I'm in on all of those 86 Dinobots, and just because I got Grimlock after handling him, there are people out there who might say, I don't care about any of the Grimlocks except Sludge. So maybe they're not going to get all of the 86 Dinobots. Maybe they just want a Sludge, or just want a Swoop. That's okay too, if that is how your collection speaks to you. What else do we have? Have funds put aside. This ties in with budgeting. Specifically say, I have this much money that I can put aside for my collection. Plus, if you're somebody who does a lot of pre-orders, realize that those dates can change, so your credit card or your bank account might be charged at any time. Make sure you have a collecting float in there. And if you can't afford to have a collecting float in there, then your collection will be something that will have to wait, that you'll have to be patient on, because you gotta live life. Got to pay those bills first. Don't buy out of spite. Don't get something just because somebody said it was trash, or don't get something because you had an argument with your significant other, or whatever the case might be. Don't buy things when you're angry and buy them out of spite. It's okay to add third-party parts and decals. There are some people out there completely against that. If it's something that adds value for you, it's okay to get. I'm not huge on getting add-on kits and whatnot, especially this day and age because they're so bloody expensive. But there are times that they add great value. The easiest example I can think of that is my Combiner Wars Devastator that I did get the Perfect Effect set for. Not for the Devastator, because I didn't need the Prowlistator head and all of that stuff, but I did get the one for the Constructicons that gave 3 of them, I think, maybe 4 of them, much better arms, and it gave them all their G1 blasters. Now, the Takara version obviously would be the better one to go with, but that was also wildly more expensive, right? I didn't want to do that. So that was a case where an add-on kit worked for me. What else do we have here? Just do it and start it and enjoy it. Open them. Don't leave them in the box forever. They're meant to be opened and enjoyed. Use wikis. Whatever you collect, there's probably a wiki that exists for it. They can be chock full of information and kind of inspiration of where things were designed from or came from. It can also let you know if there's widespread known QC issues or problems. And let's see. Clean your collection. Don't use spray paint on them. If you see it and you want it, buy it. Whether other people like it or not, if you want it, get it. Go legend scale. You'll save yourself space. You'll be able to display things easier because you're not taking up the same amount of room. And this day and age, there are some companies that have done some wonderful legend scale things. And is that it? Let's see. That might be. Oh, actually, no. Here's another couple. There were votes for avoid KO, support the actual product. And others said, forget about the actual product, collect KO and third party. It takes all sorts. Whatever it is you collect, enjoy the journey, be responsible, have fun. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you're at it, please hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel, and especially don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single solitary day, you right there, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old fashioned way right here inside the videos.